Hello everyone, it's Gemma here for the Inspired Stamp. Thank you for joining me today. Today's card is this 3D tulip box card. This one, and I've used the Timeless Tulips punch and stamp set that coordinate together. This does fold flat. You can see you can fold it down flat to be put in an envelope. You'll probably need one that's 5 by 5 to make sure it fits in at the top. But yeah, that's our card. So I'm just going to put that to one side. You will need to make your card a piece of cardstock. I'm using crumb cake today. So I've got one piece here. This is actually half a sheet of A4. So I've cut it at 4 1/8 of an inch, and I've left it the full A4 length. And I've got the two pieces here that go inside our box that we attach our flowers to inside. If you can just turn it over, you can probably see it a bit better. And they measure 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches, and there's 2 of those to put in. So normally when I make 3D items, I use my scoreboard, but today I'm actually going to use my trimmer. So I'm going to bring that in. Okay, and so on the trimmer you've got a scoring blade and a cutting blade, and I hope I'm not going to get them mixed up today. So we're going to start on we're going to have our short side at the top, and I'm going to put that in. I'm going to score first of all at 2 1/8 of an inch all the way down. So I've got a score line running down the middle, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around the other way. I'm just going to pop the arm out on this because we're going to be going across. And I'm going to score and cut at the same time. So above this line here, we're going to cut. I've got my cutting blade at the top. And below, I've got my scoring blade here. We're going to score. So I'm going to first line it up to 1 1/2 inches, and I'm going to cut down to this score line here. So I've got my little pointer here. I'm just going to line that up with the line so I know when to stop cutting. And I'm going to slide that back up out the way, and then I'm going to score on the bottom section. So then I'm going to move along, and we're going to go along to 5 1/2 inches. Again, I'm going to cut down to the score line, and then I'm going to score up to the score line on the bottom. And then across to 7 inches is our next one. So we're going to come, cut down to the line, score up to the line. And then all the way, slide it all the way over to 11 inches over here. And again, score up and cut down. Okay, so once you've finished cutting and scoring, you will be left with something that looks like this. I'm just going to mind that out the way for a minute because we're just going to do some scoring on our strips. I am simply going to score the ends at 1/2 inch. So on either side of the long side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on both of these. And there we go. So now we can move our trimmer out the way. We are all done with that. So all we need to do on our big piece now is just cut off this little rectangle on the end because we don't need that piece. Okay, I'm just going to trim that off at a slight angle. There we go. Now we can go and we can fold our score lines that we've made. So I'm just going to go all the way across these. There we go. push those little bits out the way. You can flick them off. Just use your bone folder to flatten down where we've cut on the opposite side. Run that across there. There we go. So we've got all our sections cut now, and then what we can do is turn it over and fold these back on themselves as well. And just give them a quick score, a quick burnish as well. So all our pieces are now ready. So we are now ready to attach the inside pieces before we construct our box together. So I've just folded over those ends. So what we're going to do in this small section here, we are going to attach our small little strips of card inside. So the first one, if you fold them in on themselves, you want to attach that in this box here. So I'll put some glue on and pop it on the reverse. And I'm just going to pop that in there just a little way from the score lines in that corner. There we go. There. And then I'm going to fold that over out of the way, because we're going to then attach our other one in, and we're going to do it in the opposite to the way that we've got this one in. So I've put some glue on the end, and I'm going to lay that one on top of that one to get them in line together so they're both at the same height. And again, just a little bit away from the corner, like so. So they are in, but they're opposite of each other, like so. So if you fold them flat, push them down, that is how they will sit in there, and they will sit on top of each other, like so. So what we need to do now is we need to put some adhesive on the ends of these flaps here, and also we're going to put some on this flap here to join our box together, so we can fold it over and glue that together. Now this end can be a little bit fiddly, because we're gonna stick this in, but we're gonna pop it underneath at the kind of at the same time. So if you fold that one back on itself and then have that one ready there. So I'm going to put glue on this top one, and then this one's laying flat like so. And then I'm going to put some glue on this end tab as well here. So we're going to bring it round, and we're going to insert our tab. This one is going to come this side, so we're going to put that one down first, and then we're going to fold that over to join there and give that a press. And I'm just going to swivel the other way as well and give it a good press down. And then, as if by magic, hopefully it should be all in the right place inside and stuck. There we go. So now you'll see that our inside struts, and it should fold down flat both ways as well, like so. So that is our box done. So to decorate it, today I'm going to be using some designer series paper. This is from the sample pack that is part of the Celebration Join Up offer at the moment. So it's the it's one of the reverse sides of the poppy papers. This one that I done here, I actually stamped using the Timeless Tulip stamp. I used this small one in Highland Heather and Grapefruit Grove. I just stamped some Whisper White to make my own designer series paper for this one, but I thought today I would use some of the DSP, and I've got two pieces that measure 1 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then for the end pieces I've got two smaller pieces that are 1 3/4 by 1 3/8. Okay, and these are going to go on our end flaps, these small ones, and then the larger ones, one of them is going to go on the front and the other one's going to go on the back, like so. Now you can fold your card flat to attach them. So let's get some glue on. Oh, glue stuck to me. It's never good. Just swivel it over. And then the last piece is going to go on the back. Just in there like so. So that is our patterned paper all stuck on. Now we can do some stamping. So I'm going to stamp and punch out our tulips and leaves, and I've got a sentiment. I'm going to be using the Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy Happy Everything one. So I'm going to use some Grapefruit Grove and Lovely Lipstick today. I think just chose a couple of random colours, and we need to stamp 6 tulips, so I'm going to do 3 of each colour. I'm just going to go ahead and stamped, sorry, and then I've got some Granny Apple Green. Ooh. Let's shut this and get rid of that, and I've got my leaf stamp, and we need 9 leaves. So again, I'm just going to come across. I've gone ahead and stamped and cut most of the stems, so I always end up with loads of strips of Whisper White cardstock of random differing lengths. So all I did was got out all my little strips and used these to stamp and then cut out the stems. So I used the straighter stem, and again in Granny Apple Green I stamped out 6, and I've cut 5, and you'll see that I've left on the top of the stem a little bit here, and that's just so we can attach our tulip to it. So I'm just going to cut the last one out. I figured it was kind of boring sitting watching me cut out lots of stems. So I just come up and then leave a bit on the top So I've got something to attach my tulip to. And you'll see that when we punch out our tulips, we're going to have a white outline around them and our leaves. So I've left a little border around our stem. So I've got my punch here. So what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm just going to cut all the way down here. Chop a bit off the end as well. And then you can just line up and punch out your tulip. There we go, so that's all our bits and bobs punched out. Now let's sort through this and find our leaves so we can start constructing our tulips together. Oop. Let's make sure we don't throw any of these away by accident. There we go, so we've got all our stems ready there and our tulips. So I'm going to grab my glue. I'm just going to put some glue on the end, on the top there, and attach the tulip. There we go, that's that last little bit out. There we go, so there's our little frame. So what I'm going to do is somewhere on my desk, some dimensionals, so I'm going to pop that behind my sentiment on there, and then I'm going to attach that to the frame. Wow, that's a nice wonky one as well. Yeah, I've definitely got my wonky eyes on today. There we go, so there's our centre, and then I've cut another little piece, and that's just going to go behind on our card. So let's start getting our flowers in. So I have put one at the front here, so you'll see these stems are too long, so you can just literally chop the end off. And let's pop some glue on the stem. And I'm going to tuck this one inside the front piece here. I'm going to go down quite low on that one. So there's our first one. And then on this one I've put 2 leaves on either side. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the end of a leaf and attach that in. It's easier to work your way either forwards or backwards in your card. Oh, it's stuck to my finger. There we go. So there's one leaf, and let's pop another one in on that side. Then on the next row backwards, on the next row, I've put 2 tulips together again, a bit long. So let's snip that down, and I'm just going to pop a little blob of glue on my stem, and I'm going to pop that in, and I'm going to come out at an angle. and then you can hold it underneath just to make sure it's stuck and not stuck to your finger, hopefully. There we go. So there's one on that side. Drop a bit off. And a little bit of glue on there, and I'm just going to poke that one in on the same level, and I'm just going to angle it outwards again. Just hold that in place for a second. There we go, and that's our last one attached. There we go. So we've got our tulips all put together, and we've got our leaves ready there. So I'm just going to do one last piece of stamping, and I'm going to stamp sentiment. I'm going to use some crumb cake, I think, to stamp my sentiment. I've just got a piece of Whisper White, a scrap piece here. There we go. So that's that. And to cut out my sentiment, I've used on this card, I've used two of the dies from the Ornate Frames die set. So I've got my little die cutting machine here, which I find very handy for doing my smaller dies. It means I haven't got to go off and drag the big shot over here and make the table shake. Make you all probably feel a bit seasick. So I'll just layer my plates together. There we go. Hopefully it should keep quite still on the table. So we've got our sentiment ready, and then I've also got a piece of lovely lipstick card, and I'm going to use one of the fancier frames. Again, I'm going to run that through my little machine here. I'm trying not to go too fast. I'm going to bring that back. If I pick that up, actually I can hold this and do it because it's so small. There we go. And the table doesn't shake at all. There we go. Has that cut all the way through? I think it has. Let's give that a flick to get my pokey tool and get my pieces out quickly. Oh, can't find my pokey tool. I've got the other end to my take your pick. There we go. Right, so as you'll see, this hasn't actually quite cut on a few bits. So I'm just going to bring in my die cutting machine again. I'm going to line it up and push it back into the die. And I'm just going to run it through again. There we go. And then our last row, I'm going to again chop a little bit off, and I'm going to put one in the middle at the back strut, come up a bit higher this time so you get a nice effect. There we go. And then I'm just going to pop the last two in on either side, and they're just going to come outwards so you can see them. There we go. I mean, you can play around with the arrangement of where you want your flowers. Oh, there we go. And this stem's not as long as the others. Sorry if my hands are getting in the way, it's a little bit awkward to stick these in and still have my hands out the way. So I'm just going to give that a squeeze to make sure that's stuck. Now I can add in the rest of my leaves. So I've put one coming out of this side here. And one on this side. Oh. Let's stick that one back in. In you go. And then on the middle one at the back, I've actually stuck the leaf to the stem itself. So we've got one coming up behind. And then I've put the other one on the front. Like so. Oh, my fingers are getting all gluey and sticky now. And then we've just got some, I put one on either side poking out our other flower. And one on that side. And I think I put an extra, where did I put an extra? I put an extra one on one of the ones at the back. Just because it seemed a bit sparse. And just do that one poking from the back of your flower. Like so, and that's our flowers added in. So all I'm going to do now is put some glue across the strip of lovely lipstick, and that's going to go across the front there. I do love how the lovely lipstick really pops off the green. And then I can add in my sentiment across there. My very wonky sentiment today. And that just sits on there quite nicely. Hopefully I won't glue myself to it. There we go. So that is my box card made. Now obviously you can choose to decorate yours with whatever you like. But obviously I've used the lovely tulips today. So as always, all the measurements and a full list of what I used will be on my blog, and a link to that will be in the description box below. Thank you for bearing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye!